you guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be talking to you guys about how to get a 4.0 in high school or college. I feel like in high school, school is hard, but like you could get a 4.0 without really trying super hard. But guys, in college, like if you want that 4.0, you have got to grind for it. Like to be completely honest, there have been a couple semesters in college that I haven't gotten a 4.0. There have been some that I have, but the ones that I didn't get a 4.0, it's just because I wasn't as devoted and my heart just wasn't into school as much as it was the other semesters. So yeah, that leads me to my first point. If you want to get a 4.0, you have got to have like the right kind of mindset for that. Obviously, like if you want good grades, then that means you care somewhat about your education, and if you care about your education, then you should put forth the effort that aligns with that. So what I mean is you can't like want to get a 4.0 and then like slack off and go to like a party the night before an exam, if that makes sense. So for example, if your whole life you've always just made terrible grades in math and you go into the first day of the semester into your math class being like, oh my gosh, this sucks, like I'm gonna do so bad, then chances are you're not gonna do well because you don't already have a good mindset. But if instead you go into the class saying, okay, I know I've done really bad in the past, but this semester is gonna be my, big change. I'm gonna kill it this semester, I'm gonna do it, it's gonna take a lot of work, but I'm gonna do it. So just having that good mindset is already gonna start you off 10 steps ahead of where you would have been had you walked in this semester with a really negative attitude. The second thing to do if you want to get a 4.0 is to get organized. So if you didn't already do this over winter break, I would highly advise you to go to the store and just get some cheap new school supplies. So in college, you're never really instructed on what supplies to get by your professors, and in fact, a lot of my classes, I could probably just get through the whole course with just my laptop to take notes on and then my textbook. But what I actually do is I get a really small little binder for each of my 5 classes. In the past, I've like decorated them. What I did this semester is just put a little bit of scrap paper to remind myself which class is what. And then inside, I just like to keep some loose leaf notebook paper and then some of these sheet protectors. And so what I do is I take all of my notes digitally, and then my professors always put PowerPoints online. So what I'll do is I will print them all out and I'll put them in the binder, because for me, I'm like a physical learner. So I have to like have it right in front of me to learn. Alright, so that brings me to my next topic, and that is focus on effectiveness and efficiency. I'm sure you guys can relate to this, but there have been so many times that I've been preparing for an exam and I've spent like 3 hours just writing the note cards. Like I haven't studied the note cards, I've spent like 3 hours just writing those babies. When you think about it, that is so inefficient. So it's really important for you to kind of analyze like how you're studying and what study tactics work best for you. This is the tactic that has really been killing the game for me, so hopefully some of you guys can benefit from this. But I first will, I'll just sit down and I'll grab a piece of paper and I'll write down everything I need to like really brush up on. So I'll literally take my textbook and just skim page by page, and I'll like jot down any topics that I'm really not sure of, and that way I know I need to allocate most of my time to studying that. Then I will take a piece of paper and I will figure out, okay, what like blocks of time am I going to section off to study what? Because I feel like when you don't manage your time like this, for me, time just like slips away, and before I know it, it's like time to go to bed and I've only studied 1 chapter. So what I like to do is I'll like say, okay, I'm going to study chapter 9 from this time to this time, and then I'm gonna take a little break and I'm gonna study this chapter. So even if I don't end up completing the whole chapter, that way I'm still reviewing all the information and I can always go back and review like stuff I wasn't able to review as much, but at least that way I'm not being like stuck and held onto 1 chapter for an extended period of time. So yeah, I just can't stress how important it is to be aware of what amount of time you're spending doing what when it comes to studying. Instead, prepare ahead of time, and that way when it comes down to like the days before an exam, you have way more time to review the information. The next way that you can get a 4.0 is to go to class. I remember when I first came to college, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that you can just not go to class, and if your professor doesn't take attendance, who cares? But then I quickly realized that professors like to do this thing when they'll literally tell you in class sometimes what's going to be on the exam, and oftentimes whatever PowerPoints or like notes they put online are a very brief idea or summary of what they actually went over. Skipping class is also like a snowball effect, and I'm sure you guys, if you have ever skipped class, you know the feeling. I know the feeling of just missing 1 class and then missing another class, and then you're like, I don't want to go because I've missed so much, like I'm gonna be so confused. So then you miss another class and another class, and before you know it, it's time for the final and you don't know anything. Last year I started having this problem when I would go to class and I'd just get really distracted because I would look up the notes on my laptop while the professor went over them, and I would just end up being on Facebook or YouTube or something. So now what I like to do is I print out my notes for that class, because professors will usually put them up online, but I'll print them out and I will bring them to class, and then with a separate pen I'll write anything extra that my professor said about that topic, and that way, one, I usually know it's going to be on the exam, and two, I don't get distracted and I stay awake and time flies. The next piece of advice that I have that will definitely help you get a 4.0 is to eliminate any distractions. I recently realized that there was way more that can distract me than just my phone. Like my dog, for example. A lot of times when I study here at my house, my dog ends up being a huge distraction. We just love to hang out and cuddle, and I always end up getting in bed with her and then I just fall asleep. So what I have to do now is if I have to study, I'll usually just like go to a coffee shop or do the library at school. And if I am studying here at home, I definitely make a conscious effort to not let her distract me, because I know the feeling of being distracted and just wishing you had that time back. If you have to, if you're studying for like an extended period of time, block off maybe 5 or 10 minutes for you to take a break and like scroll through Instagram or something. That way you're still getting that daily dose. At the end of the day, just remember like what a crappy feeling it is to go into an exam and feel clueless because you spent all of the night before on your phone. Just remember that crappy feeling, and it will make you never want to do that to yourself again. The next piece of advice I have for you guys on how to get a 4.0 is to use any previous materials from that professor or teacher if you have them. So what I mean is sometimes I'll have friends who would have taken the same professor a couple semesters before, and they will have copies of the exam that the professors just let them keep. And sometimes when I study those exams, they end up being super similar to the professor's exams that they administer me. Something that has been really working for me recently, this is probably gonna be more attainable if you're in college versus high school, but if you go on to Google and just type in whatever course, and then you type in Quizlet and then the name of the professor, a lot of times people that had taken that class years ago would have made a Quizlet for that exact class with the chapters. So not only will that save you a ton of time, but it's also like just really easy to gain that information. Save everything, you guys. Save homeworks, quizzes, review questions, and that actually leads me to my next point, which is practice, 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 and you can get that 4.0. This can apply to so many different degrees of study and majors and minors, but for example, I'm a finance major, so a lot of my schoolwork is math, and what I like to do is just practice over and over and over again. Like I will practice a problem 10 times until I can do it like the back of my hand. I know it can be frustrating when you have like all this work and all these definitions and vocab to memorize, and the last thing you want to do is sit through it reading it over and over again, but your brain can learn from repetition. The more you see that information, the more likely you are to retain it, and the more likely you are to kill that exam. Alright you guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video and gained something from it. All these tips have really worked for me, especially this last year. I've kind of like really gotten my study like tactic down. I love sharing all these tips with you guys, but once again, I really do think that first one about mindset is the most important. If you really do want the grades, just be willing to put in the time and effort that it takes and you will get them. I can guarantee you that the people getting 4.0s are not the ones that are, you know, at the bar Monday through Friday. It's the ones that are at home, grinding, putting in the work that they need to get it. For more school and organization type of videos, I will have all my other links in the description from years past. I love making these types of videos, so let me know if you want to see more. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I would love for you guys to join the fam. And as usual, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!